You want to be the one who snipes the 5K, don't you? Okay. I am getting word that we are ready for our next run. So we are going to kick it over to Synaesthete with j0kerr.
Hey, howdy, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for sticking around at such a late hour. I know here on the East Coast it's almost 4 in the morning, and it's just great to see so much support here for the marathon, for Trans Lifeline as well. This is fantastic. As said, my name is j0kerr. This is a game called Synaesthete. It was released in 2007, and there's a little bit of story and detail behind it that I'll definitely go into. But it is a rhythm action game, and you'll see what I mean here as we move into the game. I am ready to go. If timer is ready to go, it'll start when I say go. All right, and 3, 2, 1, and go.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It's all right. So as I said, this is Synaesthete, a rhythm action game. What you're going to see is a lot of notes and things dropping down from the middle. And that's the main way that I'm going to take down the enemies that are going to be spawning throughout these rooms. I'm also running and moving and dodging the enemies at the same time. So it's very similar to something like a Binding of Isaac meets Rock Band, is the way that I love to describe it. This game, like I said, was created in 2007 by 4 students at DigiPen Art School as part of a student project that they had. Everything that you see here was created with its own in its own engine. The music was created all specifically for the game as well. By one of the 4 students. It is all original EDM as well. Soundtrack is definitely one of my favorite parts of this game. It's just so much fun to just vibe to and have fun with. So what you saw me do here is you do have spells in this game that you can cast, you can use throughout the game. What the main spell we're going to be using is called Equilibrium. What it does is it makes your character, super big, but also moves around a lot faster. The size difference is very helpful because you can run over enemies, and that's clearing out the enemies in the room is the main way to progress to the next room. What you'll also notice as the game progresses and you move between rooms, the song actually progresses to a different, typically 8-bar beat. So being able to clear the enemies out using that stomp and using the speed from the Equilibrium to cross the bridges is also super helpful to make sure that you can clear the rooms as fast as possible. One of the big tech issues in this game is actually going to be there in the final rooms of each song, making sure you clear them out as fast as you can. One of the things that happens if you don't clear the enemies out fast enough is that the section of the song that you're in will actually loop on itself. And obviously as speedrunners, we don't want that to happen because that can cost anywhere between 8 to 12 seconds, depending on the song. And that's a massive time loss in a game like this where it's only 10 songs. So every little second counts if you want, a very high, very competitive run. But yeah, that's the main portion here of Synaesthete. Like I said, it's just you just run around and vibe and shoot down these enemies to the music.
And j0kerr, if the people who are watching like this game and they would like to play it, where can they find it?
So it's a little bit tricky to get to if you're just searching for the game itself. It is still available on the DigiPen website. However, I have set up the speedruns.com page for this game, and in one of the sections there is a direct link to the download page for this game through the DigiPen Art School. It is absolutely free to download and free to play, so you don't have to worry about paying anything. If you just straight download it from the website and you're good to go.
So if someone likes what they see, there is no cost barrier to, say, picking up this game for a run themselves.
Absolutely not. And it's so easy to get into. I know it can look a little bit daunting here because you're running around and playing music at the same time. But once you kind of get into it and you get the feel for it, it's really not too bad, especially if you're any kind of musically inclined. But what we're going to run up into here is the first boss of the game. So we've made it through, this is the second song so far. There are 3 areas of the game, and the second song in each area has a boss fight. This first boss fight is the Dragon Voxel King. There is a little bit of story to the game, but it's not really necessary to play the game. Just know that you're basically trying to save this dimension, this world, from tyrants and people enemies who kind of want to take it over and basically like ruin music and ruin the world. But that is the Voxel King down. Voxel King is super easy and super quick. If we do have any donations or anything you want to share, now would be a good time as we get ourselves into the third song.
We do actually have a couple of donations here. First up, from Hades, we have $10, and Hades just says, "Noms." And we also have $9 from Kelchan Ferret, who says the jazz punk bid wars aren't interesting enough. 4 to red, 5 for pink, everything is even. So everything for that jazz punk bid war, for that jazz punk cart color bid war, has $5 on it. So chat, we gotta break that tie. Let's get some more money going to that.
I do love the chaos. That is fantastic.
Chaos is wonderful, especially when it brings in money for Trans Lifeline.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't go wrong with a little bit of chaos and a little bit of help for our fellow trans members of the community and across the U.S. Fantastic. So in this game, one thing you'll notice as we go to the different areas, each area of the game is kind of a different subgenre of EDM. Oh, hold on. Okay. So this is the, so let me go back to that last point. It is all different subgenres of EDM, and it's kind of explained in the intros to each song. And it's just kind of really nice to see like the different styles of music and of EDM represented in the creation of this. I really do enjoy it. What I was gonna say as we got into that room, because that room likes to throw you off with that. This difficulty is all song. This is all songs trivial. Trivial being the easiest difficulty here in the game. There are like 1 or 2 rooms that will definitely throw you off like that, or kind of throw you for a loop. But there's so few and far in between that they're not. It's not something that if you're worried about the game, you should panic or stress over. But once you get into the harder difficulties, it can start to escalate, and it gets very difficult. The hardest difficulty is called Warning, and they named it Warning for a reason. It is. I love rhythm games. I've been in like band and choir, most of my life. I've been playing instruments and singing most of my life. Warning is a whole nother monster entirely, especially when you compound it with being having to run around and dodge enemies. It's very difficult, but it's very satisfying. It's a very satisfying challenge. But that was the third song of the first area, the first act. So we are out and moving on to the second act. This song is called Mountain. We'll end up meeting the Viper Vizier here in this world in the second song.
So you're saying we're going to have a run-in with Sarth, possibly?
Potentially.
Okay.
One thing that you will notice, and you will see me do a lot, especially in larger rooms, is I will start running closer to the door. We're trying to find the door a lot as fast as I can. And simply that's to make sure that I am not hitting the loop and looping the song. Because it does count when you cross into the next room. So if you're stuck on the bridge as the loop would replay, it will replay and you're kind of stuck in the room until that loop is done. One thing you will see are those yellow notes that do appear. Those yellow notes you can pick up for either extra health if you've been hit, or to increase your combo meter. And you'll see that there is that combo meter down at the bottom. That counts when you hit enemies. So when you're shooting enemies in time with the music. And by getting a certain up to certain levels of the combo meter, you can refill your a spell slot, and you get another use of the spell, which is can be very handy to make sure that you're making your loops and taking down the enemies and also avoiding damage. I am a little bit sloppy today, as it is 4 o'clock in the morning, and I am operating on very little sleep right now. So I'm getting hit a lot more than normal, but that's okay, And we are moving on from Mountain.
Now, you told me that the last time you ran this game in a marathon, you got a world record on this game. What is the world record on this game right now?
The current world record for this game for All Songs Trivial is 29:43. So it's a very quick run to pick up and learn. And it's really not difficult to get into at all. The easiest way that I can advise you to get into this is to actually just search up the OST on YouTube. There's a full playlist with all 10 songs as they're meant to be heard, so no loops or anything like that. And it's just a great way to learn the music, how it's supposed to sound, how it's supposed to be played, and also they're just great music. They're great songs to just kind of vibe and jam to. This area is full of these kind of not quite down tempo, but it's definitely more of a vibey feel. But then the next area has more kind of intense songs, or songs that will make you want to get up and move about. I use those songs when I'm cleaning my house or cleaning my desk and I want to get moving and get feeling good. So it's really got a wide range of songs to play through. So if you're an EDM fan, you will absolutely find songs to play. This is one of those rooms I was talking about that likes to just kind of throw a really difficult section at you for absolutely no reason on the easiest difficulty. But one of the nice things about this game is you don't have to play all 3 lines as they come down. You're not going to be punished, in a sense, for only focusing on the blue and green, or blue and red, or green and red, if there's all 3 coming down. You will not, be able to necessarily hit enemies as much or as often, but you don't necessarily lose anything else from it. You don't get penalized points or anything. So there is an easier learning curve to at least get into the game and not have to worry about having to hit every note at the same time. and that's actually a strategy that I use in one of the harder in Warning against one of the bosses. There's a section that is just very difficult to keep track of, and so for simplicity's sake, and because it doesn't really count against anything at that point, I don't play the middle button. I would just play the blue and red on the outsides.
Yeah, you can really see like how some of the lessons learned in this game were then like refined in something like Necrodancer or Bullets Per Minute. For example, like it works for this game, but Bullets Per Minute or Necrodancer doesn't have the rhythm pattern taking up the middle part of the screen where you're also trying to run around and dodge things. So you can really see it was very much a learning experience when they made this game.
It really was, but it also, as you said, I think it really works for a game like this, where you do still want to focus more on the center of the screen where your character, who's called the Zakeman, is located, because that's where most of the action is. And once you get into it and you play it more and more, it's very much like a Guitar Hero or like a Dance Dance Revolution, where you start to recognize and remember the patterns more and more, as you would through most rhythm or songs, to where you kind of get used to it, and you kind of remember the patterns and the sections for each song, and it makes things a little bit easier, so then you can start to focus on dodging and moving about from the enemies. But here we are into the second boss of the game. As I said, it is Viper Vizier. Viper Vizier can be a little mean sometimes. He does have a pattern where he will come and do a body slam down onto the floor, and it creates a little bit of a gap with his body and his tail that you will damage if you run into. So it's something to be wary of. He also likes to spit out these adds that can just cause some problems. There's that body slam, and now running into a little bit of that tail issue, and you're getting locked into a small area. But that's Viper Vizier down. Second boss out of 4 out of the way.
Say, when I woke up this morning, I never imagined I'd be watching someone play Snake as a rhythm game.
It really is Snake as a rhythm game, at least that boss. Trying to make sure you're avoiding the body, you're avoiding the tail. The ads can get annoying, the little enemies that he spits out. But he's pretty simple once you can learn kind of how to manipulate his patterns. And we all love ourselves some pattern manipulation as a speedrunner, so it makes things a little bit easier when you know where he's going to go, and you can just kind of get him out of the way.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot like this, but you said that this was a student project at DigiPen. Do you happen to know if any of the people who worked on this game went on to work on any other rhythm games that we might know of?
I do not know. I've tried to find sorry, this is a backbeat section, an offbeat section, and it kind of throws me off just a hair. I've tried to find some of the developers and the creators like on social media, and I've not been able to find them. Not been really able to find anybody, and it's unfortunate because they're, I would love to have them, on for commentary for, a marathon like this, just to, learn behind the game and learn more about it. But as far as I know, I've not really known or seen any of these guys in any rhythm games or any other games for that matter, but I could absolutely be wrong.
Well, if any of the developers of this game end up somehow finding this video on VOD later, let it be known your game is still loved and appreciated.
I speak very, very fondly of this game anytime I try to talk to friends about it. It's such a little gem of a game that is so unknown, but so much fun. And especially for, a free game, I've found so much replayability in this game. And when I decided I wanted to speedrun it, I hadn't played this game and I hadn't fully played it in probably about 6 years. I'd listened to the music a lot over and over, but I hadn't fully actually played it in about 6 years, and I still picked it up like I was riding a bike. But we are finally on to the third act, my favorite act. It's got two of my top 3 songs in the game. This is one of my top 3 songs. Because the name is so much fun. The name of the song is called Luminous Voluminous, and that's just so much fun to say. But it's also one of those higher energy songs that picks you up and like gets you wanting to move about and kind of tackle the day, so to speak.
It's off the tongue so nicely. Luminous, voluminous. Luminous, voluminous.
It's also one of the songs in the game that can throw you off a little bit with how long the loops last. I was there when it sounded like there should be, a loop or an ending to the, like the 8-bar section, but it keeps going for another few bars. And it's one of those that if you're speedrunning it like I am, and you get ahead of yourself, you kind of think, did I miss it, or did I miss the loop? Did it repeat itself? But it didn't. It's just kind of throws you off a little bit and makes you think, okay, yeah, I still have a little bit of time. Like this spot, especially right there where those bass drum hits, I've made it into the next room before those bass drum hits, and it still sits and waits. So it's one of those like sections that just throws you off a little bit, makes you think, oh, hey, it started. No, it didn't. Okay, I still have time.
So we actually have something of a little bit of a question from chat here.
Absolutely.
Because Jason LeRose is a bit impressed. He wants to know, is the runner controlling both the running around and the Beatmania bits?
Absolutely. So it's sorry, I'm getting hit here. The left hand is controlling the character as it's moving about, as the Zakman is moving. The right hand is controlling the Beatmania, the beats that are falling, and also the spell when I cast it. So it's a high level. It's really a masterclass of that split hand-eye coordination of being able to control movement with one hand and rhythm with the other hand.
If you have any other questions and we have time, I can relay them to the runner, so go ahead and put them in chat if there's anything about this game you're curious about.
I love answering questions about this game because it's so, it's so unknown of a game, but it's so much fun to display. We are heading on to the third of our four bosses here. This song is called This Is Hardcore. The boss of this song, the boss of this area, is named Count Stabbington, and Count Stabbington can be very mean. I use some not very good language to describe him off air, but when you see how he decides he wants to act, he can absolutely be very mean. He's got a pattern where he just disappears, and then if you're not careful and moving, he will reappear underneath you, hit you, and cause you to lose a second or two, because when you get hit, you do lose the beats for about a second or two. So especially in boss fights, if you get hit, it can cost you time. There we go. This song does have some pretty fast segments though. So if you're not careful, you will miss them and loop and lose some time. It's a drastic change from the last song where we had sections that we thought we were missing but we weren't, and this is one where you will miss sections if you're not careful. So you're going to see me use the equilibrium spell a lot more to help A, avoid damage, but B, move faster between the rooms to make sure that I'm making my loops on time.
I've also been following along with the lyrics that are popping up on screen. They're not that bad either.
Yeah, there's a bit of a story, and we did miss. Yeah. I missed that loop by like a few pixels. There is a tiny bit of a story, but it's always hard as a player to actually see everything as it's going, just because it does go by fairly quickly. We're gonna miss this loop as well because I missed the door, but that's okay. But there are some interjections and some things that do come through, and it's kind of interesting to see how the lore is built up through this game. One thing you will kind of see me do if I'm standing by the door, I want to make sure I'm pointing back into the room, otherwise he won't fire, and that can cost him time. But here is Count Stabbington, the meanie of the game. And this is the pattern that I'm talking about here. He decided he wanted to show it off for everybody, where he just disappears, and if you're not careful as you're moving, he will just run into you.
Thoughtful of him.
Yeah, how thoughtful. He wanted to make sure that everyone saw what I was talking about. This is the other pattern that I don't necessarily like, but we can't really do anything about. He spawns these spinning guys that are annoying to deal with. And he'll just spin them around in a circle, and then you have to not only shoot him, but your beams are also shooting the ads, the little enemies that spawn, and can cost a bit of time if you're not careful. But we made it through. We survived, and we are moving on to the 9th of our 10 songs here in the game. This song called Elation. One thing you will also see is that countdown timer. I'm speeding through it, but if you're still getting used to the game or still learning the game, that countdown timer actually counts down to the beat of the song to prepare you for the tempo and get you on beat for how the song starts out. It's very useful for first-time players or people who are still fairly unfamiliar with how the rhythm is or how the songs are. But for speedrunners' sake, if you're used to the songs, you can just skip them. We are gonna miss so many loops today. That's okay. We get to.
You're just giving the chat more time to listen to this awesome music.
Yeah. It's so much fun, giving everybody a little bit more time to maybe see if they want to be the one to snipe that 5K.
Snipe that 5K, which is $60 away.
I think you know what? Actually, I don't know if this chat can make it to the 5K by the end of this run. I don't think they can do it.
The gauntlet has been thrown down, chat. Let's see that big 5. Give me a chance to go crazy here on stream and wake up my neighbors at 1:30 a.m.
I mean, I would love to be proven wrong by chat, but I've not been proven wrong by any chat to this point. So I would love to see this chat be the first time to do it, but I don't think they can do it. I don't think they can do it, because we have one song left. It is the final boss. It is the Dance of the Zakemans.
And how long do they have to get that $60 in for this song?
I'd say we have about 2 to 2.5 minutes before I call time.
2.5 minutes before time, chat, to get $60 in. Let's get that big 5K during Synaesthete.
So this is the final boss of the game. The player character is called the Zakeman, and you'll see the boss of the game is kind of the Nega Zakeman, or the Namikans, kind of like the Nega Scott from Scott Pilgrim. So this segment is all about just getting these the yellow music notes as they spawn, but there is a little bit of a strategy to let him pick up some of these notes so he can heal just a little bit, because it makes the final segments of this song and fights go a little bit faster. But this is probably my favorite played song on this game. Because the main rhythm here in Trivial is, honestly, it's very fun to play, as it kind of rolls through the keyboard. But he does do some repeated patterns from previous bosses that you may recognize. But they're a little bit dead. What?
I got some news for you.
You got some news?
I got some news for you. They did it. Chat proved you wrong. We are at $5,000 for Trans Lifeline.
I knew chat could do it. I knew they could do it. I knew we could do it. Time will be coming up here as soon as we see game complete. But $5,000. I'm so proud of this community. It's been an honor to be here for the Fastest Furs Fall Fest. That's time. But I am so appreciative of being able to share my love for this game, and also so appreciative to the community, but also to the leadership team and the volunteers. I had a last minute schedule change of my own, where previous wrestling commentary commitment changed their date to essentially yesterday, the 11th, at the same time that I would have had my run, and thankfully we were able to get it rescheduled to this time so I could make everything fit, and so I could be able to showcase this game. And I'm truly grateful and appreciative of the entire crew and the entire team to be able to work things around and allow me to showcase this game, and allow me to show what Synaesthete is all about. Again, it's you can find it and download it for free. The link is available at the speedruns.com page. It's speedruns.com/Synaesthete. The spelling is on the stream. It is a very kind of funky spelling, but it is available to download for free. There is one small little bug that sometimes happens, where if you leave it closed for a small amount of time, or like days or weeks, it can kind of reset your progress and make you start from the beginning. Slightly annoying, but even as speedrunners, we can just kind of work right through it. But otherwise, that was Synaesthete. I'm so glad to be able to show this off, and thank you everybody for donating, for chatting, for all the questions. I've had a blast. I'm so glad that I was able to be here.
Thank you so much. Chat, can we get another round of applause or cat jam or something for j0kerr?